with Congressman James Clyburn. Congressman, very good to have you on the show.
Jim, we go back a long way. Will you get behind me?
Now
I am starting a movement. You can feel the political earth move.
You're misbehaving.
Greene.
Well, thank you guys.
Greene and 16. Say it with
Go
me. It will
play.
set you free. Greene and 16.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me.
How
you doing,
Are you
Jim?
going to do what I do and just ignore me?
Yes.
I'm doing great.
Just like Jim was saying yesterday in London, I asked him a question about soccer. He just keeps going.
Well,
just
that's
keeps
okay.
going. So is there any evidence at all that this wasn't just dumb luck?
Yeah, there's some evidence. The fact of the matter is, from the very beginning of this process, the people at the Democratic Party headquarters had some real suspicions, and they would not accept the first check that came in because it was a personal check. And I'm told that when they rejected it, the young man came back with another check showing that it was from an official campaign account. So they then took the check. The fact of the matter is $10,400 coming from a young man that seemed to have no money, no sign of income. That's a suspicion by itself.
Right.
And when you look at that, then you look at what happened in that particular race on the machines. Yeah. And Joe, I think you all have been reporting. For some reason, the administration in South Carolina decided to use machines that all other 49 states that have rejected. These machines were bought by South Carolina, second-handed from, of all places, Louisiana. And so somebody got to explain it to me.
It sounds like he won.
Yeah,
I don't hear you saying anything that tells me he didn't win.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out, Jim, is you know, it's hard to steal votes, even a dozen votes, 2 dozen votes. My friend Buchanan and I talk about how could you steal 50, 60? I mean, but seriously, you look at the fact that this guy won what do you have, 60% of the vote?
Yeah.
This would be massive fraud, and I just don't know how you do that in this day and age.
Without
do
it
you?
being
Well,
found.
you can do that if you got something to do programming the machines.
So you think somebody programmed these machines?
Something went wrong with these machines. You remember out in Ohio, these were the same machines that the state of Ohio did an extensive test of and decided that these machines were very unreliable. They had these kinds of results in Ohio, and we know that is possible. They say that all you need is a magnet to distort the results on this machine, and they're easily hacked in from afar. So all I'm saying is that a combination of things went bad here. But let me say this. I do believe that a week ago today, we had thrust upon us a very unnecessary and I think a very unfortunate situation. I'm working right now with people in South Carolina. I'm very concerned about Alvin Greene. I'm very concerned about his family. I know his family. He has some very outstanding retired educators in his family. Right. And I really hope that we can really do what's necessary to relieve that young man.
But you think Alvin was part of? You think Alvin was part of a conspiracy? You think that what? Are you suggesting that Republicans gave a guy that had federal obscenity charges pending against him $10,000? I mean, I know the Republican Party's done some really boneheaded things over the past decade, but if you're going to get somebody to sort of run in a race, why do you get a guy with federal obscenity charges?
Well, I don't know whether or not they knew about the obscenity charge. I do know this.
But you think it's the Republicans, though?
I'm not saying the Republicans. No, I never said the Republicans did. I said someone has done this. The fact of the matter is, 20 years ago, something like this happened down in the 1st Congressional District, and we do know that the Republican operative, who was a good buddy of mine, or at least his father was, did do that with Benjamin Hunt, I think his name was, down in Charleston. So this is not without precedence in South Carolina. And so we all remember what happened to John McCain in the South Carolina primary. So these things do happen.
I've never Mark Alpern, I've just never seen a swing this big.
Congressman, leave aside for a second whether there was a conspiracy, and if there was, how it was enacted. What would the motive be? Who has an interest in having Mr. Greene be the Democratic nominee for Senate?
Well, sometimes people just go out on a lark. It can very well be to just do something to embarrass the Democratic Party, and this can be very embarrassing if we don't get it worked out. Or it could just, well, be that someone wanted to ensure a victory. Remember, the polling, internal polling on both sides of the aisle indicated that Jim DeMint has some real vulnerabilities. And so who knows what could be the motive. But the fact of the matter is, getting 75% of the vote in 300 precincts, I'm going to tell you, that is unheard of in a statewide race in South Carolina.
That's why I think if he can get 75% across South Carolina, Greene at 16, Willie.
I'm on board.
16.
I'm on board.
Congressman,
I want to.
thank
Can I
you.
ask Congressman real quickly before we let you go, because I feel like we heard two different things. Do you feel like the Republicans put him up to this, or that some outside force tampered with the voting machines?
I
Or both?
I really believe that someone did this. I have no idea whether or not I would call them Republicans, because the Republicans I know and interact with would not do this. I do know that my opponent in my primary had his campaign managed by Joe Wilson's former campaign manager. And I know the Republicans were involved in my primary, and so if they're involved in mine, they might be involved in others as well.
So someone paid for him to run and then later tampered with the voting machines?
I think that's a great possibility.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Congressman, thank you. Next is Goldman Sachs, still the king of Wall Street. Author Suzanne McGee